Hello everyone, today I'm going to do a PowerPoint presentation for the City of Kingston 2016 Annual Water Quality Report. And it'll be a review about this report, and the big question I want answered is, was the City of Kingston treated water safe to drink at all times in 2016? So before I begin on that, I'll go over some background information. In Ontario, Canada, what values represent drinkable water? So water plants' primary tools for verifying we have safe, clean water leaving the plant is one, turbidity, measured in NTU. And the goal of that would be 0.30 NTU or less. Proof of disinfection, example, chlorine levels measured in milligrams per liter. Proof of adequate CT. CT is the product of the concentration of a disinfectant and the contact time with the water being disinfected. Finally is BAC-T samples for testing water for two types of bacteria, total coliforms and E. coli. So what does Canada's state broadcasters say about water? So they did an article about bottle versus tap water, and here they state for water quality, for tap water, refer to the guidelines for Canadian drinking water quality. So let's go take a look. Guidelines for Canadian drinking water quality. So here I got the part for total coliforms, what's allowed, and turbidity. And keep a note the subscript here, right? And it says in at least 95% of measurements, either per filter cycle or per month, never to exceed 1 NTU. So filters are never to exceed 1 NTU ever. So guidelines for Canadian drinking water quality key points. So turbidity, conventional and direct filtration. So it's less than or equal than 0.3 NTU in at least 95% of measurements either per filter cycle or per month, never to exceed 1 NTU. So filtration systems should be designed and operated to reduce turbidity levels as low as reasonably achievable and strive to achieve a treated water turbidity target from individual filters of less than 0.1 NTU. So the goal should be to actually have the filters running at 0.1 NTU or less all the time, especially for a new plant, right? If it's a new plant, it should meet the target goal what the ministry or the federal government desires. So in 2016, upgrades were completed at Point Pleasant water treatment plant. And here you can see the low lift pumps. And you can see the cleanliness of what they have going on here, right? The motors for the pumps are completely dirty on the top. The effluent pumping for the raw water pipe is dirty as well. Like, the people come in for photographs, they can't even clean it for that. Like, how dirty is that during when they're not taking photographs? So here's the chlorine building, it has a scrubber in the back, and here's a picture of the filter gallery. So we got new filters there. So Kingston Water Treatment Plant, Point Pleasant, the CEO, James Keach, called Point Pleasant Water Treatment Plant essentially a new plant. What does Kingston get from such a new and upgraded facility? Let's check the 2016 water quality reports. And that's available online. You can go to Utilities Kingston and a website and check the reports there. Or just Google it for a quicker result. So Point Pleasant 2016 annual report, page 7. Highlighted the treated water turbidity, the maximum acceptable concentration. I wrote non-applicable. That's not true, right? They cannot pump out whatever turbidity they want. They would like to maybe because they have such bad water coming according to this report, but that's not the way it works. And they got the range results at 0.68 NTU, and it has a red asterisk by it, and that means it was operator verified. Operator checked it. It's not continuous monitoring equipment and some error in it or something like that. That was operator verified data. So that's quite troubling. So you notice here the subscript in red, note for those parameters with an asterisk. The parameters, the range of results is determined through in-house lab testing. So in-house lab testing is done by operators. And if the operator doesn't know that the water quality is suspect, there's something wrong as well, right? So management don't know, the operator doesn't know what's going on here. And for the filters, they're stating they can go 1 NTU for greater than 1 for 15 minutes. So the guidelines for Canadian drinking water quality say nothing over 1 NTU. Here they're saying they can go over 1 NTU. So do they really know their business here? So, so you can see how high the filters are going in turbidity. Filter number 2, 0.96 NTU. They got filter 6, 0.88 NTU. Filter 7, 0.852 NTU. Like, what's going on here? So it's some very bad numbers, and if you got 0.68 NTU going to the clear well, you know, that means the water going from the filters had to have been for an extended period of time, pumping at much greater than 0.3 NTU. So you have to wonder how long they've had a filter dumping poor quality water to contaminate the clear well to a level where it goes up to 0.68 NTU. So review Point Pleasant Water Treatment Plant. Point Pleasant was pumping out a maximum turbidity of 0.68 NTU. And that's worse than if the plant was bypassed completely and pumped the water directly from Lake Ontario. 0.68 NTU was operator verified data, as per the report. And it was not a turbidity meter spike, improper calibration equipment, etc. In some jurisdictions, 0.6 NTU would be cause to issue a boil water order, right? And if they wanted to protect the public, that's what they would have done. Lake Ontario average turbidity from a nearby water treatment plant, Amherst View, which is like 10 kilometers away or whatever. The average for 2016, Lake Ontario NTU, 0.58 NTU. So it's almost better to get the water directly from the lake than running it through the plant here at times. So filter turbidity was a maximum of 0.96 NTU. Utilities Kingston claims they can run the filters up to 15 minutes over 1 NTU. Guidelines for Canadian drinking water quality state that nothing over 1 NTU is permitted. And the definition of turbidity, if you go back to what they wrote there, they state it's a measure of particles in water. So turbidity is actually the cloudiness or haziness of a fluid caused by suspended solids that are usually invisible to the naked eye. So a proper water treatment plant would also use a device called a particle counter. A particle counter is an instrument that detects and counts physical particles. If Utilities Kingston wants to measure particle counts and turbidity, then a particle counter and a turbidity meter should be procured. And they could also put in the annual report these particle count data, right? So sometimes if a filter's going to go bad, that kind of thing, the particle count's going to give an indicator that's about to break through, that kind of thing. Gives you an early warning, heads up on filter issues or plant effluent issues, and that data can be very useful. So, Point Pleasant Water Treatment Plant, on page 4, they had a major event, and like they had a water main break, which caused flooding in that, and high lift. So it sounded like a total disaster going on. So, like check the annual report. The clear well was contaminated from a main break at the plant, and they kept pumping to the end users of Kingston. Why was there no warning to end users? Normally a boil water order is issued. So if you contaminate the clear well, like with a main break water, and then you keep on pumping it, that does not sound very good. It states the water quality was closely monitored. The plant is only manned 40 hours a week. At all other times it is only remotely monitored at best. And at times that person is operator and trainer only, right? They're not even certified level 1 or level 2, level 4, whatever. So it's operator and training. They don't, just started basically, they don't really know what they're doing. So high lift reservoir was flushed. They state that the high lift reservoir was flushed after the event, according to Utilities Kingston. Proper procedure would be to dewater the reservoir and disinfect it prior to being placed back in service. A reservoir is a very large tank, and I have no idea how you can flush a reservoir, right? The proper procedure is disinfection, dewater, disinfection, and I don't know what they're doing with this flush talk. It sounds to me they didn't follow proper procedure and just pump the crap right up to the end user. So let's head back to what was written here. March 8th, there was a water main break at Point Pleasant Water Treatment Plant which caused flooding in the decommissioned high lift and low lift buildings which were under construction at the time. This allowed some water from the broken water main to enter the old high lift reservoir conduit. Low lift pumps were shut off and treated. Water quality was closely monitored. Yeah, by who? Once the break was isolated, high lift pumps were shut down and the high lift reservoir was flushed. The water treatment plant was isolated from the distribution system, at which point water was supplied from the King Street Water Treatment Plant. Treated water chlorine residuals were frequently being checked as well in the distribution system and contact tank. Yeah, we'll provide the CT information and see if they met CT requirements during this incident. So, at Wortman Park, or it's also called Patterson Park, which is right by the Point Pleasant Water Treatment Plant, that's just south of it and directly to the west of it, there was evidence after the main break of a large quantity of water flowing through the park into Lake Ontario. So it wasn't some water, like this was a huge torrent. And there was noticeable erosion patterns on the shoreline of a large volume of water entering Lake Ontario. And most likely this was highly chlorinated water, right? They have their water leaving the plant at sometimes 3.5 milligrams a liter in that, right? Like, this is getting close to bleach levels, almost. So, very high chlorine levels at times. So, if that was going right directly to the lake, that was very bad for aquatic wildlife. So, in addition, Kingston has adverse water quality reports, but it's not in the Point Pleasant information or annual report. It's in the King Street annual report. They just put it there. They didn't put it in the Point Pleasant plant. And they've had a large number of adverse water quality incidents in 2016. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go to the next page. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 adverse water quality reports of where the BACT tests are not passing. And their only claim is that, the water was chlorinated. So that's not necessarily the case, though. If CT requirements were not met, bacteria can be present in the treated water. So, in conclusion, in 2015, Utilities Kingston, from first-hand experience from a WaterRex member working at their water plants at Point Pleasant, would routinely operate filters after they had broken through and send this substandard water into the clear well for high lift pumping to end users. Head loss would get too great and water would short circuit through the filter media, resulting in higher turbidity water going to the clear well, so in excess of 0.30 NTU. Part of the problem is Point Pleasant is a direct feed plant. There is no pre-treatment prior to the filters. Another issue is staffing. When a WaterRex member was working there, it was only one operator for 4 hours a day on weekdays running the plant. So they did not address this direct feed issue on the plant expansion. The so-called new plant is still direct feed. So whoever decided to have no pre-treatment, that's contrary to the way most water plants are that get their water from Lake Ontario. Right, Region Appeal is membrane plant. Amherst View has a membrane plant. City of Toronto has it's a conventional pre-treatment with flocculation, sedimentation, coagulation kind of stuff going on. So it's very rare, extremely rare to have a direct feed plant for something getting raw water from Lake Ontario. So further issue is poor maintenance and management. A filter inlet gate actuator had failed. Rather than fix it, it was manual wash only. Staffing levels were not increased to accommodate the increased workload. The result was very poor water quality from Point Pleasant filters with a large number of critical point exceedances in 2015. The Ministry of Environment, MOE, was notified of deficiencies at the end of 2015, start of 2016. In 2015-2016, MOE had issued the Point Pleasant and King Street plants both 100% rating. In 2015, the Point Pleasant water treatment plant was a complete mess with dirt and dust everywhere. The plant had no way to get back T samples from individual filters. The King Street plant had the chlorine analyzer removed from the process waste system, resulting in numerous instances of chlorinated water, 0.05 milligrams per liter or more, being sent into Lake Ontario. With these problems, it is quite puzzling how the MOE gave them a 100% rating. And self-regulation only works with honest and trustworthy operators. It is a big mistake to place trust in those who are managing Kingston's water plants. So trust fails. 0.68 NTU water being pumped to end users with no warning. Another trust fail. Contaminated Clearwell water being pumped to end users with no warning. And trust fail, repeatedly dumping chlorinated water into Lake Ontario. So, like, what's going on? So, Utilities Kingston has a history in water wrecks, first-hand experience of poor stewardship of Kingston water infrastructure. From almost causing Ravensview digesters to explode through questionable operational practices to removing chlorine analyzers on waste streams going to Lake Ontario to bypass dechlorination requirements. So, final conclusion, in Kingston, Ontario, Canada, from my understanding of the data provided in Utilities Kingston 2016 Annual Water Quality Report, Point Pleasant, I would not trust the water coming out of the tap for drinking purposes. Bottled or boiled water would be your safe choice. When you drink Kingston water, it will be like a game of Russian roulette. If you like to gamble, drink away. But if you want to stay healthy, there's times when that water is questionable, and you're gambling for sure. So here's some contact information. You can just pause it. You pause your video if you want to write this stuff down and contact these people. If you want to contact the mayor for the City of Kingston, here's his contact information. You want to contact the Ministry of Environment. The Water Compliance Supervisor for Kingston, Ontario is Lynn Guerra. So there's the phone number and email if you want to contact that person. She doesn't like to reply to emails very often, but she will reply occasionally and answer her phone never, but she'll get back to you on occasion. And for Utilities Kingston, you can call the operator in charge or the overall responsible operator at the number provided there. See what's going on, if they're not screwing things up. So thanks for watching. Hope it provided you a little bit of background information, what's going on, and give you a little bit better understanding of their 2016 Annual Water Quality Report. Hopefully they're going to work on some of these issues, and I hope very much that 2017 Annual Water Quality Report will be much better, but you'd have to have your fingers crossed and see. Currently, I wouldn't place a high value of trust in thinking that the water coming out of your tap is really safe to drink. You know, just check the numbers in the report and see for yourself. Okay, thanks, Ed.